Oh man, so yeah, it's really nice to obviously get you on a video call and chat to you, and get to know a lot more about you, man. So I guess we start from the beginning and kind of who you are, how you kind of got into music, and yeah.
I got into music like when I was super young, probably around like 16. My sister listened to R&B. She listened to a lot of R&B growing up, and I kind of got into like rapping at house parties. And then my best friend passed away, and his mom asked me to speak at the funeral. So I ended up going into the studio and recording a song. And this is really, extremely hard, I think, to give the eulogy at a young age at your best friend's funeral. So I ended up recording a song, and I saw what it did. I saw how it made people feel. And for me, that really moved me to being like, oh, this is something that I could do that's not just me at 3 or 4 in the morning at a house party rapping. It's actually could be something. So that's like literally what changed me and made me like focused on the music.
Yeah, so you just saw the effect of how powerful words could be when put in like a certain way.
Yeah, like I mean, I saw people cry. I heard people laugh. I watched people smile. I seen people frown. I seen 60-year-old men cry. I seen 18-year-old girls cry. I seen both of them laugh and understand our memories and understand mine and his relationship and understand him even probably differently than they did. And I just seen it like convey into something in front of my eyes. Like it was super surreal for me. Like it really changed everything for me.
And do you feel like that's something you still try and convey in your music to date, to kind of say, when I'm putting together a song, I want to make sure it invokes some sort of emotion in people when they listen to it, rather than just kind of going over their heads?
Yeah, my biggest record at radio in Canada was a record called On a Wave, and it's my story. Like the first verse to it's like an up and down story of success, and it's a lot of people's stories, to be honest with you, but that's my life. And I feel like sometimes a lot of people always tell me I'm like too personal, but I don't feel like you can be too personal in your music, because it's your music. Like,
yeah,
I don't per se make music for other people. I make music for myself, because especially in a time like right now, like it's keeping me sane.
Yeah.
So I believe that I try to use that in my music every day. I mean, in my studio, I got a picture of my best friend on my desk, and I got one of these charms on my chain is his, and I ain't taking it off since I was 18. So, I believe that stuff shapes me. It shapes me.
No, that's dope, man. Obviously, it's always great when an artist has like a more personal reason of why they started music and what really kickstarted it all. So that's great to hear, man.
Yeah.
Talking about kind of obviously what you've been up to now in terms of we've had lockdown. How's lockdown been over there for you guys? I feel like nobody's really talked about how Canada's kind of been dealing with this whole situation. It's always the spotlight's been on obviously Italy and Spain and how they were dealing with it, because they were one of the first ones. Then us, and then America. Nobody's like talking about how you guys have been. Like, how's it been out there?
That's okay. They can focus on what they're doing in the States.
I mean, I mean, they're not really even acknowledging it in the States, to be honest. So
it's starting to feel like that. Like I heard that there's a rally tonight with 20,000 people inside of a stadium. So I'm boggled how I can't do shows for 500 to 1,000 people in a venue, but they could do rallies with 20,000 people like that. I'm having a hard time with that one today. Or things like that. But for me, it's crazy. It was like a super blessing in disguise. Like, bro, I was in Europe for 2 months right before this happened. So to be home for 3 months, and I got a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. So it's like, bro, I don't have that time at home. I don't have this type of time to focus on just music, because I'm drenched in the business so much. So for me, like, at first it was super, super difficult, I think, but more on everybody else around me, because I'm a handful. So it's more, me fitting into everybody else's day-to-day life, because I'm not around like that.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing, though. I think, even with my parents and everybody, it's just more time with everybody, right? That's what
Yeah, more time with the people that you really want to spend time with, but you're working so hard to get what you want for them.
It's crazy, because you're like working to get that time with them.
Yeah.
And to have opportunities to do things. And, I'm very materialistic. I am a very, very materialistic person. So for me, it was an understanding that maybe I'm not as materialistic as I thought I was.
Yeah.
Because you find out, like, right now, like, it don't matter who got the hottest car because you can't drive it. It don't, that stuff don't matter. Like, it's about the people inside your house, not what the outside looks like. So, I think this was humbling for me. It's still humbling.
Yeah.
I'm having a tough day today, just trying to put together this 20,000 people in a stadium, but I'm just having a hard time today wrapping my head around some of it.
Yeah. No, and that's understandable. I mean, we've been, was it like 2 months now? We've been in lockdown and the world's kind of been at a standstill. So it's kind of hard sometimes to sit down and wrap your head around about everything that's going on. And it feels so surreal at times that everything has come to a standstill. Like you said, you can't do live gigs. You're not able to promote music the same way you're usually able to, doing live appearances and things like that. So
but
it
then
does make it opened
up, sorry to cut you off, but then it's opened up stuff like this.
Yeah.
This is like, I was just there. I was just in the UK. I don't know what part of the United Kingdom you're in, but
yeah,
I was just in 5 or 6 different cities out there, but we never connected. So
yeah.
I can't really say that this hasn't opened up some cool stuff. And a dope new avenue or lane for a lot of conversation.
Yeah. Just going back on that, so obviously you're saying you're on a tour in the UK, well, not even the UK, just Europe specifically, like, for 2 months.
Yeah.
And what was that kind of like? Because obviously Europe's like very different to, I guess, touring in Canada and America, and the vibes like usually very different. How did that tour kind of go for you?
It was me and Fetty Wap.
Yeah.
We did 23 cities. And it was amazing for me because I just felt like, first of all, Europe is a beautiful place. The United Kingdom is, especially, I guess, London and I think it was Birmingham, I felt, were very similar to Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto gets a lot of slang from the UK. They get a lot of patois in the slang in Toronto too. But a lot of UK slang, the music we're very familiar with because our platforms show it. So the UK was cool. Plus we knew some people over there before we got there. So that was really cool. I think like places like Finland and Norway and Germany were very different.
Yeah.
But you just feel like people appreciate the music so much more because they don't get it as much as a Toronto or a New York or a London. I feel like you guys get a lot of stuff over there. But
yeah,
I feel like some of these pockets in these little places like Florence, Italy, or Milan, like they don't get every day. They don't have these type of events going on, so they love it.
No, definitely. It's kind of like a little treat for them. Like, oh my god, we got like a full blown artist coming out here for like a proper gig. Yeah, so for them it's like a big thing. And then going back to what you're saying in terms of the UK, obviously your 2 favorite places being London, yes, and Birmingham. Birmingham specifically, let's talk about that because obviously, from what I recall, that's where you and Fetty sat down and recorded "If It's You." How did that?
I believe it is. Yeah, I believe it is. He was coming on stage with me every night before his set.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it was his tour. He was the headliner. I was the support on the tour with him. But before his set would start every night, he would come out on my set and rock with me for like my last 2 joints. And he just kept saying to me, he's like, that joint you're performing is crazy. Like, we got to do something with it and make it something for real. And I was like, yeah, if this had you on the hook, it'd be crazy. And then one night we went back to the hotel, and there was this girl, and she literally set up everything for me. She set the studio up for me. I think it was called like Play Studio or something.
Okay.
It might not have been. I wonder if this was Liverpool that we recorded it. I can't remember. I think it might have been Liverpool that we recorded it. I can't remember. That's super disrespectful for me not to remember that. But this girl just set up everything for me. She set up the studio. She put together the car services and stuff. And me and Fetty just went to the studio, just me, him, and a group of people. And it was just a vibe. Like out there, we were extremely both very happy to be on that tour. It was something amazing, a lot different than North America. And like I said, the appreciation for hip hop is like super high.
Yeah. And I guess that's pretty cool because from what I understand from what you're saying, initially wasn't something that you had actually put down as a track. It was just like a little vibe that you were doing whilst on tour with him. And then obviously he heard it. It was like, no, let's lay this down properly. Like, let's make this into a proper track.
Yeah, I knew I had a hit because I've been performing If It's You, my song with Fetty, for about a year.
Yeah.
And I know it's a hit. And there was another really big artist on it, but I'd never put the song out. So I've been sitting on it for a minute and I perform it on all my live shows, but everybody was always like, what is that record? Like, that record's big live.
Yeah.
But I knew it needed him, or it needed somebody like him that can do what he can do, which is, far and few between. But it was just perfect timing. And I mean, we ended up performing at like the Canadian Super Bowl. It's called the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
It's a football match. And me and Fetty ended up, he brought me out to rock with him in Canada at that. And we shot the video that weekend and stuff. Like, we just literally actually get along. Like, I like Fetty. Like,
yeah,
we're friends in this music industry, which is hard to come by. And I'm actually like super happy it happened with him because I think the record's going to have some real legs.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the first time we played it in the studio, everybody was just kind of rocking to it, vibing to it, and yo, this is good. Like, like it gives you, I don't know about you, for me, it gives me the summer vibes because I guess even the productions, it's kind of got that vibe to it. Like, you're just rocking it in your car, just playing it. Yeah,
it's not complicated.
Yeah.
It's not a complicated record. It's fun. It sounds good. It hits super hard. And it's really like the vibe that I want when I'm in the club, or the vibe that I want, like you said, in the middle of summer. Yeah.
Just touching on something we probably mentioned earlier on about how like the music scene in the UK is like kind of similar to how it is in Toronto. Yeah. Like, what would you say like are the main avenues that up and coming artists kind of come through the Canada music scene? Just trying to see like how similar and how much it differs from the UK.
Live shows. Live shows are extremely important. Whether there's 100 people there or 1,000 people, they're extremely important. For networking purposes, for being on stage purposes. I think that's a huge avenue for artists. And then, I mean, online is huge now, bro. Like, look at the two of us right now. You're in London and I'm in Toronto. So, I think that the internet has played a massive part. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to listen to SAS. They were with Dipset, I believe, and they were from the UK. And like, I only heard their stuff on mixtapes. Like, I was, so when their stuff would come to me, it was coming through DVDs and mixtapes. Now, like, everything's online. You could just tap in. Yeah.
And would you say the mixtape scene is still strong in Toronto, or is it a lot more kind of online, like you said?
Nah, the big artists are grabbing everybody right now and running like a mixtape play because I guess, that's the play. But I think mixtapes are irrelevant at this point. I think that, podcasts are good. I think DJ mixes are a big thing, playlists. I think those have kind of taken the space of what a mixtape was. I think, a playlist is as important as a mixtape was in 2000. You know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely, man. And I mean, in terms of working with other artists, Fetty Wap's not the only big name artist that you've worked with. You've worked with a lot of other artists that a lot of people might have heard of, for example, Ghostface Killer, Jadakiss, YG. Like, how those partnerships come about?
I mean, it's different all the time. Like, I had a really big record with YG called Hold Up that did really well in North America and overseas as well. I toured with Jadakiss. I toured and opened for 50 Cent, French Montana, Snoop Dogg, MGK. Basically, when you come to Canada, I'm either the one that facilitates your tour because I own a booking agency, or, I would be chosen or asked or booked to be the supporting act on the tour. So, for me, I've been blessed with a lot of opportunities that, I helped build, but a lot of opportunities I've been given as well. to work with these type of people. I mean, I've done tracks with like everybody I listened to as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of just did things that I wanted to do in this business.
Yeah. It's like literally like a dream come true, just being like, grew up on that artist and now I get to do a track with them.
Yeah, that honestly, business is always personal for me.
Yeah.
I know people say it's not personal, but you wouldn't be doing business on a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday night over there right now if it wasn't personal to you.
Yeah. No, yeah. And it makes sense. Like, obviously, you're not going to want to collaborate on a track with an artist if it wasn't something you wanted to do, rather than having to.
It might be about a bag. I mean, this Fetty record is about a bag.
Yeah.
It's about a bag, but I did it with somebody I fuck with. Or excuse me, somebody I like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No, I'm sorry.
But it's somebody I get along with, but at the same time, it's about the business.
Yeah.
But I want to do, like, everything is personal, bro. I can't even understand or comprehend it not being personal.
Yeah. So you know, speaking of big tracks, you also had a track which became, I guess, like the song for the Toronto Raptors called "We the North." Yeah. And not even talking about a track, just talking about what happened last year. How did you feel last year when the Toronto Raptors finally won an NBA?
I mean, I was on tour with Snoop Dogg for the second and third round.
Yeah.
So he was bugging me, telling me Kawhi was leaving. He told me exactly where he was going. He knew. He was bugging me about it, and you know, nobody thought the Raptors were going to win, but I'm a super big Raptors fan, like everybody in Toronto. And I went to 2 games in round 1. I went to like 2 games every series. Last series, everything. I went to game 5 at home, and it was surreal. Like, I really want them to start playing again this year, but you know, I just want to make sure everything's good. But I really want to see them play again, because I think they were about to have a run that people didn't expect again this year. Yeah.
No, that's dope, man. And yeah, I mean, you got to witness history pretty much, so that's amazing.
Yeah. And I did a record and an EP called "We the North." And yeah, the Raptors DJ is a good friend of ours. And you know, him, the organization, the players, everybody always supported the fans. Everybody supports. And it was like kind of my way. I can't play ball like them, so you know, it's kind of my way of like forcing my way to be involved.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. And then talking about more recent things, obviously you've got a new project dropping next Friday called 23.5. And obviously in the album cover, you talk about sometimes you've got to work 23.5 hours in a day just to get those last 30 minutes on stage. And I mean, that kind of ties in with your title of being one of the hardest working rappers in Canada. So how did this project come about? Was this something that, you know, you're just trying to do something whilst you're in lockdown and this is what's come out of it?
No. At first I was like, I thought it was super selfish to put out music when this stuff was going on. I thought it was a really bad idea. And then all of a sudden I kind of realized that it's like, this is what I do. And this is all I have personally. So for me not to put out music right now, I was hurting myself. So, you know, a lot of I don't see no independent artists putting up a bag right now and moving, because it's a scary time. You know, yeah. I can't say nobody. There is a lot of people moving right now, but I think it's even for them, it's tough. It's tough for everybody to even stay focused right now. So anybody that's pushing out right now, you know that they really want it, or they're really on it because they know they have to be, you know, and I salute everybody right now that's moving. But no, I didn't make this I need to put something out. It kind of happened organically. And, you know, for me, like the 23.5 is basically how I live. Like, you know, that half an hour on stage don't always particularly mean on stage. You know, it might mean for that half an hour when I get to take my kids to a movie, or, you know, that whatever it is, it's whatever, you know, you work for just to get, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Which makes this project, I guess, a bit more personal to kind of say, this is everything I'm working towards, just so, like you said, I can have that half an hour of sitting with my kids in a movie, or taking them to the park, or that half an hour sitting with my parents and just chatting to them.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, the 23.5 record on the album, there's a record called Replay on the album, and another song called Pray That I. And those those 3 records are exactly like where my head's at right now. You know,
Yeah.
If It's You with Fetty Wap is a fun record. The Ghostface record is like a rapidy rap record. You know, the Jim Jones record is actually a really dope record too. But like, yeah, it is. It's a personal record. For me, it's always about myself and music. It's my therapy for me.
Yeah. I mean, it all comes back full circle to, you know, what we spoke about at the beginning of why you started music. Yeah. It's always been about using those words to express where you're at, you know, at that point in time, and just evoke an emotion in the listeners. And that's what, you know, real music's all about, just evoking an emotion in listeners. And you know, really looking forward to obviously listening to that project then and taking that in, especially the 3 tracks that you've mentioned, to say these are the 3 tracks that I feel, you know, you're definitely connecting where my mindset is at right now. So you know, definitely looking forward to hearing that, man.